Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, man.
In remembrance to a great many kingly roles of James Earl Jones. I think obviously Darth Vader was the first role of us hearing his voice for a lot of us, along with Mufasa. But I think the actual first time I ever got to see James Earl Jones' true face was Conan the Barbarian, and he
Yes.
played
Tulsa Doom.
fucking snake
I think for me
cultist
too,
leader dictator dude. And
He had
yeah,
so many amazing, iconic roles, you know, beyond like everyone thinks of Darth Vader and Mufasa, but like, no, absolutely. Conan the Barbarian, that might actually have been my first time seeing his face too. We
and then
lost
I think
James Earl
the second
Jones
time,
last week at the age of 93.
just
And
it
it's very sad to see a legend pass, but at the same time, like 93, that's a long life.
that's a
That's a good life.
good yeah,
And
that's a
he achieved like a lot of pretty incredible things in his life and overcame a lot of things. And
Coming to
so
America. Yes, thank you,
it's
chat. That was the other
it's a
thing.
thing to be celebrated. Yeah, I know. Coming to America, Field of Dreams, absolutely. I'm seeing Field of Dreams in here too. One of his best monologues. You know, at, people will come, Ray. That whole thing. It's so good. You know, actually thinking of James Earl Jones, I think he might have been the first time that I like recognized an actor. Like I think I remember being a little kid and making the connection, like, oh whoa, Mufasa's voice is Darth Vader's voice. Like I remember having that thought about James Earl Jones, and I think that was the first time I ever did that for any actor, you know. Yeah,
It's a very signature
core
tone,
memory.
absolute signature tone. We've heard multiple interviews that he was wonderful to work with, that he was like always professional and just like absolute sweetheart when it came to meeting with fans. I don't know if he was ever huge on really doing the con circuits, but anytime he really like kind of came face to face with someone, it was always like a relatively peaceful interaction.
Dude, he was a really gracious guy. Absolutely. That's what everyone says that ever got the chance to meet him. And that's something that I'm pretty bummed about, is that I'm never going to have the chance to meet James Earl Jones. That was definitely one of the things on my list of things that I really, you know, wanted to do. But I kind of feel like I have, just because I've lived with him in my imagination, in my childhood, and like the things that I'm watching for so much of growing up. You know, he was always kind of there in something that I was watching. So
This is true. This is true.
yeah, no, he had an incredible life, man. He had a stutter. He had like a very severe stutter early in his life. And he had a high school English teacher that helped him overcome it by like getting him to recite poetry in front of an audience. And that kind of led to his love of drama and acting and propelled him into like this legendary career that he went on to have. But it's ironic to think about, like, you know, one of the most iconic voices in the arts. He was a stutterer as a young man. And like it's such a success story. Like, you know, not just to overcome a stutter, but become one of the most legendary, iconic, like recognizable voices ever. It's really inspiring, and I think it's motivational as hell if you really think about it. Yeah, no, his performances were always so nuanced, even in something that seems like as black and white as like Darth Vader. You're just like yes, he's dark and scary and menacing, but like there was always pain and sadness inside the anger. Even before we knew his backstory, before we know anything about this guy, like you can tell, like, oh, that's not just a scary Sith Lord. That's an angry, sad person. Like you can, like, there's so much emotion in there. Yeah,
It's true.
we lost an absolute legend, an absolute king, James Earl Jones.
But yeah, our thoughts to his family, and to the fans. Yeah, no, rest in peace. But in other news as well, Rings of Power has been
of Power.
Oof, what a heroic, absolutely powerful start, where five episodes.
Bendu just caught up, by the way. Bendu just blasted through the 5 episodes that are out. So
we're 5 episodes in. I'm hoping and assuming that we get nine episodes. Plus, it would also be hilarious, like if there were 9 episodes in season 2, and the last episode were the 9 kings of men given their rings, or the nine men doomed to die.
That would have been kind of funny if they started with a miniseries with 3 episodes, and then they did a 7-episode season, then a 9, and then a single episode.
It would have to be a single, like a movie.
Yeah, then a movie to be the One Ring.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna really deep dive into that one, into Rings of Power season 2 so far, what we've thought, what we think is about to happen, what's gonna happen. And then the other thing we're gonna talk about kind of briefly is how also this week Agatha starts. Agatha All Along starts this season.
Oh, Snapatha.
Season
That's
starts
right.
this week.
That's right. That
And
one
then
really snuck up on me. I
final
haven't been thinking about that one.
final episode comes close to Halloween. It's going to be a Wednesday night show.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I'm
Midnights.
super
Midnights
pumped.
are they giving us that sweet 6 p.m.
I
Pacific
think it's a
time
6
release again?
p.m. let out. Yeah, I think.
Oh, nice. Nice. I love that. You know, shout out to it sucks for everyone overseas who gets it like super early in the morning now, but I guess East Coast had it the worst. When we had it at midnight, they had it at 3 a.m. So but yeah,
It's
6
true.
6 p.m. I'll take it. I'll absolutely take it. Yeah, no, we've actually got quite a lot of things to talk about tonight. And yes, Agatha, Rings of Power season 2, but primarily we do have a couple of Star Wars related things that we should probably blow through as well here.
Oh yes,
We
yes,
just watched
yes.
the Lego Star
Yes.
Wars special, Rebuild the Galaxy, right?
Rebuild the galaxy. Yes. Should we? How do you want to start? Do you want to start with our recap and reaction for that one, or do you want to start with Rings of Power?
Well, I actually have it all written down in
Oh,
a
excellent.
list here. So I figured we would, keep going with all of our Star Wars related things and then move on to other things at the end of the
Appreciate
podcast. So we'll probably end with Rings of Power, Agatha, everything else. But just like also we just watched the Lego Rebuild the Galaxy special. The reaction is out on YouTube, at least the first half of it is. Bendu thought it was a game. I thought it was a movie. We were both wrong. It's a 4-part mini series. So we reacted to the first 2 episodes in one reaction. That's currently out. Our reaction to the second 2 episodes is currently up on Patreon, but that'll be up on YouTube very soon here. I really enjoyed it, man. I thought it was really fun.
I thought it was a video game first.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you thought it was a game, and I thought it was a movie, but it was actually just like a really
So
short
it was
series.
all just this. It was all just the one singular thing. Man, that's wild. The advertising team just like knocked it out of the park. But not to mention just like, I mean, okay, so the live action Lego sets that came with like the marketing and just like the overall toy aspect of
The
this
sets
movie
are
were
really cool.
so
The
fucking
sets are really cool.
like all of us, so many people just were so pumped with the actual physical idea of having a Darth Jar Jar, because before we always had to like custom make that piece, like
Right?
we would
We got an
take the ring
official
and
Darth
say,
Jar Jar now.
and then we would just put it onto a different body and be like, there we go, like that's our our Sith Gungan right there. But like
I don't
now,
think there's a person out there who has
wow.
a Jar Jar who hasn't put a lightsaber in his hand,
Yeah.
Like it's just
Yeah.
a thing we all
Oh man.
do. But now
And
we
the
can do it
fact-
officially.
so like spoilers as well. I don't know if you want to throw that siren
yeah.
out there. in
Yeah,
case-
We will be discussing plot points for
Yes.
Rebuild the Galaxy. Yes.
But the fact that in his main appearance,
Yep.
in his main fight, the fact that he was able to say that he is the true Phantom Menace and he'd been the Phantom Menace the whole time, like fucking hilarious. There were so many little meta jokes, and there were so many just like
All of the direct dialogue references were really
Yeah.
funny. Like the Phantom Menace the whole time. Mace Windu showing up and being like, "This party's just getting started."
the party's over. Like
That one was one of my favorites.
so many little like mashups and just switcheroos that, because like also I didn't recognize or realize before we started watching the miniseries that like different times within like the Star Wars universe were going to get mixed up. So it wasn't just like the overall Star Wars universe getting
Oh
mixed
well, no, absolutely. I mean, you can't do a whole like we're going to scramble the galaxy without rolling out all the hits. Obviously, we're going to have to go through all the movies.
So there were so many. It was very entertaining. It was very fucking cool.
Yeah, no, it was
I wasn't
very cool.
expecting to see the particular prison scene when we got to see a lot of different inmates, as you kind of brought up before. Like it was cool.
Oh yeah, Grievous and Yoda fighting together. That was kind of that was super unexpected. I wasn't expecting that at all. Also, I felt very personally catered to in this story with how much like screen time Servo, the Gonk droid, got.
Dude, that Gonk droid
center for most of it.
Yes.
And then kind of became the final emotional beat of the whole story was like Servo and like rebuilding Servo and like upgrading him. He learns to talk. Then he like gets to graduate to become like the central comic relief of this. It was awesome. It was gonktastic. It was absolutely gonktastic. And they really teased us with it when we thought he was dead, like putting him in the intro and then having him talk and then having him like have his light fade away. It was
very dark. Yeah. that was like very un-Disney of Disney to
yeah,
do.
Ice, exactly. And several people have said that to me too. They were like, "Hey, have you?" Because I was a couple days late watching it, and people sent me messages. They were like, "Hey, have you seen it yet? Have you seen it yet?" I'm like, "What are you getting at?" And I should have known it would be something Gonk related. But yeah, Servo instantly jumps onto my short list of favorite Gonks that we've seen. He's just a little bit better than Gonky, dare I say it, from the Bad Batch. I think he knocks Gonky down to third place.
Servo is absolutely the most if he's the most utility droid a Gonk droid has ever been. You know, like
other he's actually super useful, and they utilize him a bunch.
Yeah,
which is great. Before we get any deeper into our discussion, I did want to start with this. I'm just going to blast the trailer for everybody who doesn't know what the hell we're talking about. It's Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy.
My galaxy is the home of the most epic story ever told. But then I found the cornerstone, and everything changed.
Listen up, Sig. There's only one way to say this. You messed up. You blew it. You goofed.
Jedi Pop, that's like 3 different ways.
When you removed the cornerstone, you created a new galaxy. Every person and every world will be different.
We've got to make everything go back to the way it was, because nothing makes sense.
It's a trap! It's a trap! It's a trap! It's a trap.
I know who can help us. The greatest hero of all time, Luke Skywalker.
Let me see if I have this right. In your galaxy, my dad is mostly evil until he turns good for like 5 minutes and then dies. My own nephew betrays me and kills most of my best friends. And I spend decades alone until I use the Force so hard that it kills me?
Well, when he puts it that way.
There is no escape.
What in the...
Excuse me!
Darth Jar Jar? Ridiculous. Oh, time to go!
X-Wing TIE Fighters? Ewok Bounty Hunters? You spend your life telling stories about heroes? Maybe it's time to be one.
Woohoo! Yeah!
This party's just getting started.
We're losing power! We're gonna crash! Scary, 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 scary!
The Force will guide us.
It will?
Here's hoping!
Oh, come on!
Yeah, no, it was so much fun, dude. The story was there. Like, it actually ended up being like a really good story about like brothers and family, and like it had a message to it. The way most Star Wars stories do kind of center around family in that way. It wasn't just a series of jokes. There were so many jokes in there, but there actually was like something to be moved by emotionally in there. And that's kind of a masterful balance to strike, to be able to have it be really stupid, because let's face it, like, it's a dumb idea. We're just having some laughs here. None of this is canon, but at the same time, like, there were quite a few heartfelt moments. Like, they really did stick the landing, I thought. And the whole concept of the cornerstone is kind of a fun way to like flavor this multiverse concept that we're exploring here, and also using like Lego terminology too. You know, like the remover device, the whole big ship that that Devastator was trying to create was like shaped like a remover tool from Lego. Like that's hilarious. I love that kind of meta stuff. It really cracks me up. Servo, obviously the best character. There's not even a discussion to be had there. Like, Servo was just the best. I thought that Gaten Matarazzo, I think I'm saying his name right, and Bobby Moynihan really stood out. Like, they were really, really good casts for these characters. Sig and then Jedi Bob, respectively. Like, the performances were really good. His name is Sig Griebling, which is also really funny too, because greebling, like greebles, are like the extra little details that you glue onto models when you're building models. Like there's meta jokes on so many levels here. And the animation itself was like really impressive too. Like the way, like when certain minifigs would turn, like and get hit by the light, you could see like thumbprints on them, like they'd been handled.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot on our reaction. Like we would definitely notice that. Or just like, even though everything was very blocky and like they were only allowed to move in certain ways, like somehow they still got the lightsaber choreography to still, like, they did all the flips and turns that, like, as a kid or like just as a regular person playing.
Totally. All the action was very reminiscent of like children playing with it. Like, and also the way the rebuilds happen, like when they're being chased towards the cliff and like the extra bricks are like rebuilt into legs and then suddenly they're wings and then it's like a boat. That's totally how we as kids would like rearrange them to fit whatever the scenario was that was happening. Like animating Lego and putting it on the screen, I still think is just like such a winner of an idea. And like Lego and Star Wars just go together so well. It also like it fills a void that was kind of left by the fact that we don't get any more Robot Chicken Star Wars specials anymore. That's like a thing of the past. And I feel like these Lego specials really kind of feel like a sanitized, like a PG-13 version of a lot of that Robot Chicken material. Like, yes, we're making jokes and laughing along with it, but sometimes we're straight up making fun of Star Wars. And there's definitely room for that. And like there's quite a big gap missing that Robot Chicken isn't doing anymore. So like I'm glad that we're getting at least a little bit of like official material. It's the campy material that's kind of like poking fun at it in that way, because I really enjoy that. Some of my favorite jokes for sure. Jedi Master Palpatine was a trip. Like I was thinking about all the different the combinations of random things you could scramble up, and like Palpatine being a light side Jedi Master for whatever reason.
Okay, the entire cabal. Yes, okay, the entire like criminal syndicate cabal getting turned into like the actual like light side council was funny. Yeah,
Jabba in a Jedi robe, man. See that.
We had so here's like my theory on like what each one is kind of in charge of, right? So we had Cad Bane, who's like the most Clint Eastwood badass bounty hunter of bounty hunters, right? So if he's like
he had a little beige safari hat kind of
right. So instead of bounty hunting, his job is clearly like outreach programs. And then you have
a PR guy.
Yeah. And then you have Jabba the Hutt, who's international gangster, crime lord. His now, his light side version, he's the treasurer. He's in charge of like local funds and fundraising, and bake sales are his favorite. Dude, Jedi Master Palpatine is probably like the greatest peace negotiator like of all time. If to truly like, what was so hilarious about like seeing some of those characters that way is just like thinking about those what ifs.
Well, exactly. It kind of put my mind on that track of thinking about light side Palpatine, and I realized it's really not a thing that I'd ever really pondered before, what that would be like and what the repercussions of that would be. So, like in the midst of all these silly jokes, they just like kind of broke my mind a little bit there. And yes, the HK-47 C-3PO, that was pretty brilliant too. And I feel like that was the closest we're going to get to getting like canon 000 on screen.
Dark 3PO was definitely one of my favorite. Like,
it wasn't something out of
so unsettling. He was so unsettling and like sociopathic the whole time, and like I was here for it. Like he was so.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
When I read Dr. Aphra comics and I read 000's dialogue, that's exactly what it sounds like to me. Is just like Anthony Daniels, but just like gleefully saying evil things, and that's exactly what C-3PO was here. So that was fun. That was really. Yeah, no, he was high-key terrifying. Honestly, he was really terrifying. I would not want him hunting me down across the galaxy. But like, dude, that ship, the Gold Royal Queen's Naboo ship, I want to build one of those. Like, I want that set. It looks so good. The gold bricks, man. It was fantastic.
Could you imagine though, just like, because like obviously bounty like IG droids, we know that IGs are just like, they're made of thick. Like they're thick alloy, they have really good targeting centers. Like they can shoot multiple weapons at the same time. But like if you were to turn a protocol droid who knows like however many different fucking languages that C-3PO knows, like, dude, it'd be like having to fight the Terminator. Or like,
yeah, seriously, the level of capability that he actually has, but you don't really consider him a threat because 3PO is such a weenie. But like honestly,
or just protocol droids in general. But yeah.
Yeah, that's why 000 is so terrifying. He's really the exception to that rule. The Sith were hella funny. The Sith were great. Darth Jar Jar obviously was everything.
It was
That was
peak.
so fun. Getting
Peak.
Ahmed Best back, getting to hear him
Fucking peak.
play Jar Jar again, and also be elevated to this level of like fan favorite infamy, which like the stupid theory, which I love, by the way. I love this theory. Yes, it's a stupid theory. All right, Darth Jar Jar, but I enjoy it. I enjoy thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, why not? Why not say that he's pulling the strings? If anything, it makes the whole thing way funnier. Darth Ray was cool. I like that she seemed like she was actually the more evil one. Like Darth Jar Jar. Well, because Devastator, like Darth Dev was like the one in charge, but then of his underlings, Jar Jar was the most like motivated, but Ray was like the one pulling the strings, it felt like.
It's
She was the one like kind of like manipulating the rest of the gang.
Yeah, between her and Darth Rose. Yeah,
Rose
also
was a minion. Rose was an underling. She didn't really seem to have any power.
That's true. Same with the Darth Jawa that was like just hanging out in the back, which like kind of had a grim
I love that idea.
to it. I was like, "What are you? What is that thing?"
It's definitely,
and then
definitely
the
an
one that
off-world
finally
Jawa.
said that it was a Jawa, and I was like, "Oh my god, that makes so much sense." And then I think at the fight, at some point in like the last episode when they started fighting, like it said Wutini, like while it was like
Yeah, he totally said we totally got at least one Utini. And then Darth Hammerhead, who they forgot his name. They forgot his name, dude. They were like, "Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I forgot what your name is. It's Momon Nadon." Like I remember his name from my coloring book from when I was like 6 years old. But yeah, that was a pretty good joke too, because no one remembers that guy. Like, and he made a great looking Sith, like an Athorian Sith Lord. Give me that story.
Yeah,
I'm totally down with that. And then Nubs, yeah, Darth Nubs was funny.
Make no fucking sense.
They got D. Bradley Baker back just for that. It's interesting. You get D. Bradley Baker back, and he doesn't voice a single clone. It's because they were all Akbars, you know.
Dude, okay, so
Ironic,
that was really cool. And we talked about that in the reaction also. Like one, it kind of made sense having like the aquatic, like one of the aquatic species to have like all the clone armors with like the mohawk thing. And then the fact that
Kaminoans are also like there is a line there. Absolutely. You can draw the connection.
thing. And then like the fact that they were able to fuse Star Destroyers and like the other Republic starships together and like kind of gave them more girth. But dude, okay, but still, Dev's ship, the A-Wing Interceptor fusion, still such a fucking just peak design. That was fun.
That was great. That was really, really cool. A-Wing Interceptors together. I feel like I built something like that out of Legos at some point. Like it felt very familiar to me, the design of it. One other thing that I really liked about it was that though everything got scrambled up, like Leia didn't change. She was still good.
Yeah, that was
general like it's because in every universe, Leia is like the people's princess. I think that was kind of like the underpinning message there, and I love that too. Because absolutely, I think every subsequent Star Wars piece of media should be a low-key tribute to Carrie Fisher, and that's what this move felt like here, and so I fully approve of that.
Right.
More of that, please.
And it was also interesting because, like, obviously, the season, or I guess it kind of did turn into a season because we thought it was going to have a clear-cut, put together ending.
Yeah, they set up such a cliffhanger. There was so many seeds for a sequel there. Absolutely.
So, like, given the fact that Maul is a good guy, and given the fact that a lot of other characters have switched,
Whitwer had so much fun, you could tell.
Right? Like, and considering that it seemed like a lot of other characters switched, allegiances, such as, like, also we got Jedi Vader. But, like, dude, could you imagine we get to see Sith Kenobi next time?
I'd be down. Yeah, give us more mix and matches. Like they've opened the door now, and because they didn't end up changing the universe again, like we can continue to explore these.
Right?
Things.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hope we do get more of it. I really do, or at least Sig and like this story is picked up in like whatever the subsequent Lego special is. Somehow. Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed the Lego Rebuild the Galaxy, and the reactions will be out for the second half very soon on YouTube, so you can stay tuned for those things.
Are they both?
For whatever reason, man. Sorry, what?
Are they both on Patreon?
Yeah, everything's up on Patreon right now. The full-length uncut versions of the reactions generally hit Patreon pretty much immediately. It just the YouTube ones take a little longer to edit, which is why They don't go up as fast. But for whatever reason, man, September 16th today is just the day to release Star Wars game stuff, I guess, and always has been. Yeah, today is the anniversary of like multiple things in Star Wars gaming. For example, first of all, 14 years ago, we got The Force Unleashed.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, it came out on this
14 years
day.
ago?
14 years ago, dude.
In September? Wow. Okay. You
September
know,
16th.
okay. I could believe that. Damn.
Time flies. Time flies.
Because it
I remember
definitely
watching
wasn't
this trailer
all-
and being so hyped, man. Being so hyped. Yeah, that's right. I know it's a scary thought,
dude,
right?
this
That was
scene.
14
This scene
years
where
ago.
it's just ripping and pulling down the fucking start.
This game is super fun. Let's go.
Yes. And that was the teaser. That was the fucking
Yeah, this was like the reveal trailer. You have my full attention. You kidding me?
You have done well, my apprentice.
Yes. Yes. Impaling
This
the
game,
trooper.
man. This game was very foundational to us hanging out as well.
God, we spent so many hours killing stormtroopers.
Yeah, we did. This was one of the first things that we like super connected over too. Was like Star Wars, but specifically Force Unleashed.
Oh,
Yeah, the memories.
God, those combos were so much fun.
Yeah, so he's so ridiculously overpowered.
Man.
Yeah, I
And we
know,
both-
right? There goes our
we both
monetization.
played them on like different, what's it called?
Consoles.
Consoles. Thank you.
I played it on the PS2. It came out for the PS3 and the 360, but I didn't have either of those consoles. Gesundheit.
Thanks.
But I did have a PS2, so I played it, and like that means that my graphics weren't as good, but I got an extra level. I remember that the Jedi Temple level. You didn't get that on the other consoles, so I was able to do that. And I remember waiting in line at GameStop at my local mall, and I was like the second person in line to pick this game up.
Fucking cool. So
Yeah,
fucking
no,
cool.
it was a whole event. Everyone was talking about this. Everyone who was a Star Wars nerd at least was talking about this game.
Thank you, Chad.
That was 14 years ago, which is wild.
That's so fucking cool. Yeah, I played it on DS, and then I think I played it on Xbox because both of us had different things happen on different levels, and then
right.
like because there were different parts where like, oh, did you do this fight? And I was like, no. Did you do this fight? And you're like, nah. We both got different shit. But like, yeah, and then a lot of them like had different crystals hidden in different areas. Different games had. I think the PlayStation had the most crystal and costume options because like not every game had the white crystal and the black crystal. That was only specific to I think PlayStation because it just came
Right.
out.
Yeah, no, I had it on the PS2. I was always jealous of people that had it with the fancier next gen graphics, but I was like, oh well, at least I get this extra, this extra level for the Jedi Temple. That was 14 years ago, which makes me feel really old. And if that is bad, then you're gonna hate what I'm about to say next. You know what came out 21 years ago today?
Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2 was not 21 years ago, I'm sure. But this came out 21 years ago today in 2003. One of my favorite games. This is the game that I think I played the most out of all of them. I know, I'm sorry, I say it ain't so.
Which game is this?
This is Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy.
Oh wow! I didn't know you could use a double blade saber.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. No, this game was awesome.
Oh, Ayla. Oh my god, look at those graphics. It makes me think of TIE Fighter or Rogue Squadron.
Whoa. Yeah, no, this one was great. You play as the student of Calcatard.
Wow, look at that. Dude, the GoldenEye shooting mechanics.
Easily one of the best games, and probably the Star Wars game I played the most.
Wow. Huh.
That's the game that I got into modding for. I would make like custom skins and custom maps for like the multiplayer version.
Damn, yeah, I didn't play that one.
Yeah, they should absolutely keep them coming. They remastered Dark Forces, but they need to continue, especially with Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, because it has FMV cutscenes, and it's like my holy grail is getting like crisp 4K renders of those FMV cutscenes, man. Like you have no idea.
That'd be great.
And then of course, if we could get a revamped Outcast and Academy, like
yes,
forget about it. So that was 21 years ago. In more recent history, 8 years ago, Star Wars Battlefront released the Death Star DLC gameplay trailer. Another one that I remember very fondly. I played the hell out of this game, man. I was so hyped about this.
Skywalker reporting.
Yeah, I wish I was better.
Battle Station was like my jam. It was my favorite game mode.
Target lock acquired.
They fundamentally changed how they did the flying in Battlefront 2. I kind of prefer Battlefront, honestly. Yeah, this was a golden time, man. It really was. We didn't know how good we had it. Briar pistol!
Ooh. Yeah, R2.
Now head to the hangar.
Yeah, go for it.
1,000%.
Deal with the rebels.
Time to hunt.
What up,
And they gave us,
what up, boss?
that's right, and Dengar came in the Cloud City one. Chewie! With questionably rendered fur.
Get to the hangar now.
We're going in full throttle.
Oh, thanks, Tommy.
You're near
Yeah, you can fly the entire trench.
We're running out
It's
of
so fun.
time.
Droid secured.
I have you now.
That one is a special place in my heart for sure.
Oh, Sky City though. That one was beautiful.
The Cloud City DLC was the one that came out before it. And yeah, the Bespin maps were great. I think Sabotage was the game mode that we got for that one. Yeah, that was really fun too. But yeah, man, it's quite a lot of anniversaries today of like different Star Wars gaming releases. So I don't know what it is about September 16th, but like this is just the day in history that the stuff comes out, you know.
I mean, it is
not so much in recent years, but like
time.
not since Battlefront. I don't think we've had any other anniversaries on this day.
I mean, it's a good period of time because it's like kind of the very start of fall, but it's like just before. It's like not quite holiday season yet, so it's
right,
like,
but it gets you hyped for it.
Yeah, so it's like they can come out with a game, or at least like tease it in September, and then have it be like their holiday release. Or at least like have it come out in early fall and then have more DLC stuff available by like Christmas time.
Yeah, that's totally what the rollout like strategy is. Trench Run was so much fun, dude. And I remember that there was an exploit where like the person who was designated to make the run would just like fly in circles at the very top of the map, and that would extend the gameplay so that everyone could just continually have a dogfight for like an unlimited amount of time down below. That was pretty awesome. And yeah, they did. They didn't just give you a New Hope trench run. Like all of the detailing and architecture from the Death Star 2, from the much more elaborate, because they fly right through the center of the superstructure, you know.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that was incorporated into the trench run for this one, which made it, in my opinion, much more interesting and much more cool. And you have a whole lot more to do while you're going through the trench. But yeah, dude, I used to hate people who would do the tight circles up above until it was my turn to do it. And then I was like, oh no, this is awesome. We're getting so many points. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I log on to that game every once in a while and just like stare at the empty lobby and wish that there were enough people to get a battle station match going. But like, yeah, honestly, like for those of you who are on my Discord, we should try and organize that. I'd be so down to try and fill up a lobby and play some battle station, get the trench run going one more time for old time's sake.
Wow.
That'd be great. That would be great. So there was one other thing, one other piece of Star Wars news. Leaked images of the new Lego Jabba's sail barge set. Have you heard about this?
I think so, yes.
So take a look at this bad boy right here.
That's a chunk. That's a chunky.
No, more like
that's a chunky, hefty Lego barge right there. God damn. It has the whole underneath set.
Yeah, the side opens up like that. And it's got rooms inside. It's pretty massive. Comes with a nice array of minifigs too.
That's a thick boy. Oh man.
I was really excited seeing the R2 with the drinks tray until I realized what they did. They literally just took a thin brick and stuck it in between a regular R2 and then stuck some drinks on it. So I'm pretty sure that's a very recreatable one. However, the monkey lizard, the slave Leia, the Hut Slayer Leia, excuse me, and then just like the random Nikto denizens of Jabba's palace are my favorite, like the skiff guards and stuff.
Dude, the fact that the skiff guard has the old school pirate like blunderbuss rifle is
hell yes,
is taking me back.
No, that's pretty great.
That's an old school Lego.
It's a pretty nice Gamorrean guard too. Like the Gamorrean guard's pretty good. Really good ahead and like.
Yeah, Max Grebo's just
body on that one.
Look at his goofy.
He really is. The Bib Fortuna is pretty good too. I'm not thrilled about the R2. I feel like we could make that R2 ourselves, but like everything else is pretty great. And then, yeah, there it is. And we're talking, so if you want to get technical about it, this one's called the 75397 UCS sail barge. All of these images have been leaked. It's not officially revealed yet. But the price of this one is going to be $500.
Jesus.
500 smackers.
That's not worth that. I mean, like, how much was Rivendell?
So I was about to bring that up because that's a very good comparison to make. The Rivendell Lego set, also $500. Do you want to know how many more bricks, how many more pieces you get in the Rivendell set for the same price?
1,000.
2,225.
Yeah.
That's like so many more pieces for the same price.
But that's not that.
If you're a hardcore Star Wars Lego collector, then like, yeah, why not? Pull the trigger on it. It's pretty badass, and I would love to build it myself. For $500, if I've only got $500 in my pocket and there's this sitting on the shelf and Rivendell sitting on the shelf, I'm probably going to go with Rivendell. Let's be honest here. This is cool. Rivendell is cooler, and you get way more bricks for the same price. So it's like
Rivendell is a gift.
Exactly. And Kingston nailed it. This is exactly what it is. This is one of those sets that you buy for the minifigs. You know, because it's not even the first sail barge. We've had a sail barge set not too long ago in the past, UCS and everything. So this is really just about getting these guys. Yeah, Imladris all the way, 100% agreed. And speaking of Imladris, I think it's time to switch gears and talk about the one, the only, well, the second season of the Rings of Power.
Sauron sees himself as master of all Middle-earth. He seeks to rule it not only through conquest, but by bending the minds of all its peoples to his own. And for that he needs not armies.
No!
But rings.
In choosing to wear those rings, you have all become his collaborators.
I know you believe this ring is deceiving me, but I believe it is guiding me.
All this may be by his design.
These rings may be how he attains power.
They must be destroyed.
We will discuss the rings once you have answered the question. Who is this man?
He is no man. He deceived me. He is Sauron.
What am I to call you?
A sharer of gifts. Our work begins now.
I have walked across mountains and deserts to help my friend find his destiny. One the fate of the world may depend on.
Is it my task to stop the fire? Is it my task to face Sauron? To try and cheat death might lead to an even greater catastrophe. Father, take off the ring.
I'm afraid, Durin.
Every soul in Middle-earth is in peril. Will you abandon them to their doom?
No, what have you done to me?
Leave Sauron to me.
Promise me, Elrond. It will not stop until he is destroyed.
Forgiveness takes an age.
I need your axe, old friend.
Fight with me. Fight with our friends!
When the darkness falls, there are always some who rise forth and shine. You will give me the 9.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So fucking hyped.
It's so good. It's
Fucking
so good. I am in the camp that enjoyed season 1. I know not everybody did, but like season 2 seems to really be unifying people in terms of like everyone is appreciating the show for a lot of the same things now. And like I think people are really starting to acknowledge that, like, yeah, a lot of the things you had to sit through in season 1 made this possible. You know, you can't tell a Tolkien story without a ton of setup and a ton of exposition and establishing. We've got that out of the way now.
It's true.
It just so far, these 5 episodes that we're in have felt like nonstop payoffs. Like honestly, yeah, it's been really good. The Barrow Whites, dude, the Barrow Whites. We never got to see the Barrow Whites in the Fellowship of the Ring, but like I played with the Games Workshop tabletop Barrow Whites when I played the Lord of the Rings tabletop game. They looked a lot. They really kind of followed that sculpt design. I thought that was cool.
And then the little tidbit of knowledge of just like, oh, we can't kill them. We can only use the weapons they're buried with to kill them. Like
it was a very D&D feeling like encounter. No, it was great. Yeah, no, and I completely noticed that too. All of the episode titles are taken from the poem of the Ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 for the Elven Kings under the sky, 7 for the Dwarf Lords in their halls of stone, 9 for the mortal men doomed to die. I'm wondering if we're going to get an episode called Doomed to Die. If we do, that's when we're going to meet the 9 Kings. So the show has been confirmed for 5 seasons already. So I've been trying to think about what the rollout could look like for that. And I think that this season is really about the fall of Numenor and its descent into evil. The following season will really be about the 9 and watching them slowly succumb and become ring wraiths. And then the 5th season will be the forging of the One Ring, the last alliance of elves and men, and it's going to culminate with Isildur ending up with the ring, right? And like the whole, we know where it's headed, but like, yeah, we're going to get the establishing of Gondor for the first time. We're going to get the fall of Numenor. We're going to get Sauron arriving in Numenor, establishing the Temple of Morgoth. Like, oh man, so many crazy things are going to happen between now and then.
There's so many, and like already some of the things that we've gotten to see.
You say that, Anatar. I don't trust you, bro. I'm just gonna put that out there. I don't think you're on the level. I'm not Celebrimbor. I'm not fooled.
I mean, shout out to our boy Anatar,
yeah,
right? shout out to our boy Adar, who's like
Sam Hazeldine playing the role now, taking over from Joseph
absolutely
Paul.
in war mode right now, which I thought was really cool. So it's like season 1, Uncle Benjen did a really great job of sort of like
I love that he's
introducing.
just Uncle Benjen to you.
All right. And it just like and sort of solidified the character and sort of like really piqued our curiosity. And then like his whole thing was like at least kind of bringing the orcs together and like establishing, the home of Mordor for them. And then like now it's like after doing this, all the orcs have seen that Adar is like a person of his word. So now he's like taking on this more of like military-ish role.
But
they're
not
like-
all the orcs are on board. It's causing a rift. That's why we've been introduced to Gloog and Gloog's little family. He's got a little orc wife and a little orc baby. And he doesn't think that this warmongering is necessary anymore. He said to Adar, don't we have what we were after? We got our homeland. Like, do we have to continue fighting? Like, we won. And Adar's the one telling him, no, we have to expand. We've got to take this from the elves. So
I don't know
think,
if that's what they were saying necessarily. He said that we can't rest until Sauron is destroyed because Adar knows that Sauron.
But Sauron's hiding among the elves, which is a perfect justification for attacking an elf stronghold. Oh, well, Sauron's in there. Yes, Sauron is the target, but it's very convenient that we can also take out Eregion while we're at it, the seat of power of the elves in Middle Earth.
It's true.
Adar's playing too. He was advocating for the orcs in season 1, but now he's kind of using the orcs. It's like he was coming from a much more honorable position, I think, the first time around, and now that he's achieved that, he's turning around and wielding that power to advance his own goals now. We'll start in the beginning because one of my favorite things happened right at the start of the series. But before we get too far into this, they fucking killed Sauron. Just knifed the hell out of him. When we finally got to see it, like because Adar told us last season, he's like, I killed Sauron, and we're like, yeah, okay, whatever. No, you didn't. But like when we finally saw the flashback, in my head, I was like, okay. Let's see what you got, Adar. How did you do it? Did you stab him? Did you like break his neck? And then he brings the crown down, right? And I'm like,
stabs him in the back of the fucking
cool, fair play. But then when the orcs swarmed in and they just went full on Julius Caesar on his ass, I was like, oh my god, like way more intense than I thought it was going to be. And then the crowd parts again, and he's just a puddle. Like they destroyed that man. That was an intense scene. It was really
somehow
cool.
the supernova explosion.
He kind of pulled a Palpatine a little bit there, a little bit of Return of the Jedi blast. I didn't catch it on my first time watching it, but then someone pointed out to me, and I thought it was a really cool detail. His blood seeps down into that pool in the cave, and then the next time, in the next shot after that, we see the cave again, and these massive stalactites have formed on the ceiling, and that's their way of showing that he was in that little puddle for like 1,000 years.
Slowly eating and absorbing the worms because then
that's how long it took for him to form enough to be able to eat like a little rabbit or a rat, I think it was. Yeah.
God, it was wild. It was wild.
You can't kill him. If you try and kill him, he'll just go spaghetti mode on you again.
Yeah, spaghetti monster ball. But dude, okay, but like the Ent wife, absolutely beautiful. I really hope they didn't
I found that scene really moving, actually. I think it was the music that did it for me.
Yeah, and the fact that she was kind of like a cherry blossom tree also.
Yeah, she was blossoming. That was a really cool detail. I like that too.
So I'd be curious if we get to see more Ents, or if this is just kind of like, see, they do exist. We're going to show you one just so you know what one looks like.
It did kind of feel like this was just like a way of cornerstoning us into this is the time period. These are when Treebeard lost the Ent wives. Like here they are. You're not going to see them again, and here's why. That's kind of how it felt to me. Yeah, there's a couple things that are like getting introduced, and then I don't feel like we're going to circle back to them. And I think the Ent wives might be one of them. I think Tom Bombadil might be another one. I think we met him, and now, well, we haven't left him yet. We're still with him, working on the Gand, working on the tree. But after that's done, we're going to leave Tom Bombadil behind. I don't think he's going to be part of the larger story. Chadmiral, I hear what you're saying. You don't like him being here because he's way too powerful to be here. Yes, he is way too powerful to be here. But think about it this way. He's way too powerful to not be here if he wants to be here. what cosmic force could possibly stop him from being here if he chose to be here. It's Tom Bombadil. He's decided he wants to show up in Rings of Power, so here he is. It is kind of ironic hearing him tell Gandalf, or the stranger, excuse me, in the trailer, like, would you leave these poor people to suffer their fate? I'm like, would you, Bombadil? Like, you like Frodo hands you the ring, and you're like, oh, interesting, and then you give it back to him, and you do nothing. So
it's not part of his story, and I think he as the god bard that he is, he knows what his story is to some extent.
We came like this close to actually. We heard the singing off screen, but we never actually got to see Goldberry. I hope we don't see the destruction of the Antwives. I choose to believe that they were not killed and they simply were lost.
Yeah.
And they're thriving in some other forest that the ants just can't find. Sauron the Crowned. Sauron the Shanked.
Yeah, dude, that was great.
This season, the music, the sets, the art production, the costumes have been absolutely fantastic. And I think my favorite costumes have been the elvish like away mission robes that like our little scouting party with Elrond and Galadriel, and like the background elf fodder, I guess. They've got really cool like questing robes. And also Numenor. People in Numenor just have like absolute fashion drip. Except for that one kid who I don't know his name and I hate his face, and he killed what's his face?
The son.
Yeah, Valandil.
Of the Guildmaster.
He killed him. I hate that guy. I hate that guy and his stupid.
Okay, so we have to talk about how the eagle. We have to talk about how the eagle arriving really fucked up things.
Yeah, it did. It did. Pharazôn totally stole Queen Muriel's eagle thunder.
Like that eagle could have easily just like bit his head off, or just like could have acknowledged some sort of like he could have pointed his wing over at the other lady and was like, "Hey, I'm here for her. Who the fuck are you? Like, why are you walking up to me?" Like, yeah.
I would put him at the top of the fantasy beard pyramid, though. Like, honestly, Pharazôn's got the hair, he's got the beard.
This is true.
He could get elected just on that merit. I mean, he doesn't need to do all this shady stuff.
But bro, I'm so pumped. I'm so ready to see this pompous ego get like just tidal waved out. Like the last time we see him, he's talking.
I don't think it's going to be satisfying, dude. It's not going to be satisfying the way you want it to be, because he's not. It's not like he's going to get tidal waved. They're all going to get tidal waved.
I know it's going to be a very much an Atlantis situation, but it's going to be like their own damn fault, though. And like,
yeah, but like that's going to get drowned out very quickly by the sound of innocent people screaming in the streets.
It's true.
I don't think we're going to get our like delicious karma moment with Pharazôn. I think the whole thing is going to be like a tragic tale. And like they're gonna do it in a way that where you're like, yeah, I can't wait for you to get your comeuppance for all this. And then when they finally do, you're gonna be like, oh, this is actually
like the Titanic. Yeah,
this is actually tragic, and I don't feel any sort of like smugness whatsoever. I'm just sad for these people that are dying because their leader chose to do this. You know, it's gonna be rough, and the amount of emotion they've already injected into the soundtrack in like certain moments, like it just tells me like, oh, it's gonna be rough, dude. It's gonna be very sad to see the fall of Numenor. But it's going to set up the birth of Gondor, and that is going to be cool. That's going to be really cool.
I forget who's Keeman. I'm looking at Homo Solari's comment of I think Keeman will either go Nazgul mode or get sacrificed in the Temple of Morgoth. I don't know who that is.
Oh, that Kevin, that's the son. That's Pharazôn's son, right?
Oh, gotcha.
If he gets sacrificed in the Temple of Morgoth, I'm so down. That would be great. That would be a great ending for him. Yeah, I volunteer him for that. I nominate him to be the first one to christen the Temple of Morgoth. Yeah, like dude, like when Sauron arrives in Numenor, it's gonna get crazy. And speaking of Pharazôn and his fantabulous beard, and another fantabulous beard, the Dark Wizard of Dune. He's killing it. He's killing it too. I can't wait to see him actually do something. Like,
yeah, I'm curious.
To have some sort of a confrontation with the stranger, and it's gonna be a sick wizard battle. I'm looking forward to it.
That's true. Plus, like the little acolytes of doing. Okay, so there's a lot of things about that, right? So it's cool getting to see the acolytes, the the magic using like moth people kind of like try to do their bit to like either deal with or kill future Gandalf. But then the fact that we got to see the bounty hunters and like the wild men of the East with like their super sharp copper, like really spiky shredder looking
cool.
armor, but like the fact that they were in more bright colors, which I thought was really cool, and like way more like
very
nice
Easterling
matte.
inspired. They really kind of remind me of like the Easterlings that we see in the Two Towers. Like they've
Mhm.
they've taken what we saw of that culture and then sort of turned back the clock. You know, it's a really cool idea, and I was always fascinated by like the Eastern civilizations in Tolkien because they're so like details are so sparse that he really doesn't go into very much elaboration about what's east of Mordor like at all. So getting to see like any sort of depictions on screen is really cool. Going back to the Games Workshop tabletop game, that's one of the things that I loved about it is that they kept sculpting new things from the books that were never seen on screen, but they would design them in such a way that they fit right into Jackson's aesthetic. So like you could put him next to
Like the Watcher
any
and
of
the
the characters. Yeah, or like all of the like they came up with a whole set of like rune nobility and like Easterling commanders and like the Haradrim. They invented like an entire hierarchy for the Haradrim and gave them standard bearers and all this stuff. And same with the Corsairs of Umbar. They gave them a whole society and like they had a leader, they had commanders. It was very cool. And I'm pretty sure they made the leader Peter Jackson's cameo from Return of the King, which is hilarious. The one that gets shot with the arrow.
I also love, speaking of Gandalf, I love in good Lord of the Rings fashion, we have halflings fucking up in good halfling fuck up ways. When they were alerting, when they got the signal going on the well and kind of brought the bounty hunters to them. It was a very classic fool of a toque moment.
Yeah, that was some Peregrine took energy for sure.
But also very fucking
don't know any better though. They haven't experienced the world like that, you know.
I know, right? But also like one fucking mind blowing that the Wandering tribe actually was part of this other tribe that just decided that like Bag End or not Bag End, but like Hobbiton is like
this is where like we're slowly gathering all the bits and pieces to create Hobbit society as we know it. Like we've got the way the Harfoots live, and now we've got like living in holes in the ground, which is so iconic to the Hobbits. Like we're slowly putting it together, and it's interesting to think about that. Like the Hobbits weren't always Hobbits. It's a makeup of all these other halfling societies that kind of came together to create this.
Or like using the song to get out of being stuck.
The song is really interesting, and I like that it's so crucial to the plot. It feels very authentically Tolkien that like someone is singing every 30 seconds in this show. It feels like someone has to break out in song because that's totally how it is. There's a song every couple paragraphs, it feels like, especially in certain parts of the Silmarillion. So I've seen people criticize the singing, saying like, what is this adding? Like it feels goofy. It's like, well, yeah, it is a little goofy. It's also very Tolkien. All right. You can't put Tolkien on this pedestal and pretend like it's not a little bit goofy. All right. We're talking about hobbits and elves living in holes in the ground. It's a little goofy. That's okay. That's part of fantasy, you know? Not everything has to be ultra gritty and realistic. Sometimes people break into song. Like Tom Bombadil, for example. I thought that they did a really good job of having him be understated with his Bombadil-ness, I guess. And when you look at that character described on paper, I think it's very easy to take like a very stoic and kind of a cold, like disaffected kind of take on the character. And props to this actor. I think that he made all the right choices in that. Yes, for Tom Bombadil, in that he's not going to help you with your problems. He could, but he won't. But he's not cold about it. He's not like the stoic like island. He has like there was warmth there, and he was very nurturing about it. Like
still
you need to do this on your own. He will mentor you and help you do it yourself. But even though he has the power to solve your problems, he will not do that for you.
Because it's not his job.
Yeah. It's not his job, but it doesn't mean that he's an uncaring person. It just means that he's not willing to do that for you. And that's a very hard balance to strike, I think. It could be very easy for the wrong actor to take Tom Bombadil and make him seem like a total like selfish jerk. But this guy nailed it. The warmth was there, you know, the nurturing was there, and like the compassion for others, which I think is really central to Tom Bombadil, and it's what makes him such an enigma, is because he is compassionate and yet he doesn't help. you know? Like, that is the mystery of Tom Bombadil as this weird, super powerful spiritual being.
Dude, speaking of super powerful spiritual being, as fucking Anatar, Lord of Gifts, is bringing up, not to mention the one elf apprentice lady working on one of the, I think the prototypes for the human rings, and she puts it on and she accidentally gets sent into the fucking nether realm for the very
That was a
time.
great manipulation on
And then she
Anatar's
starts
part.
to go crazy, and she says that she sees this fiery spirit that reeks of death. And bro, like, oh, so heavy metal. So
that was a
fucking
brilliant
heavy.
manipulation on Anatar's part. The way that she confided in him, thinking he was a safe person to talk to, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's Celebrimbor, but don't tell anybody. We gotta help him out." Like, and of course she's gonna do exactly what he says because she wants to help Celebrimbor. No, the deception is masterful. It's
so
masterful, and like knowing, like seeing, having all the context and
Sauron's
watching it,
true
it's just
form.
open your eyes, you fools, you know.
Could you imagine though? I'm just like, it's like when Jeff Bridges goes to the fucking grid in Tron for the first time, like going to the to the nether space. I forget, it has a name. I don't remember what the space is called when he like puts on the ring and then you're able to see like the Nazgul in their true form. But like, bro, just the physical description of like what Sauron's body looked like was just so fucking like grotesque and very it was like oh fuck, what's his name? Guillermo del Toro sort of a thing. I was like, bro, I want to see him paint a picture of what the spirit of Sauron looks like now. Sauron the gaslighter working his magic. Yes, exactly. Homo Solari. Sauron the gaslighter.
Ultimate gaslighting. It's a master class. It's a master gas in gaslighting. Like but I mean, he also has such broken power sets in that, like, if he's ever gained your trust in the past, he's able to shape your very thoughts, like even now in the future. Even once the truth is revealed to you, he can still come back and do it again. That's insane. That's like he's got speech 200, you know?
Yeah. When he started to practice his fucking passel tongue, like power over the flesh on the proto warg, and then like ate the one human dude, like,
yeah, that was intense.
Power
that was
of the
intense,
flesh, man. Power of the flesh.
Meanwhile, bad things are happening in Khazad-dûm, right? Like, we are
in Khazad-dûm,
only a couple episodes from Balrog time. It's happening. It's happening for sure. Durin's Bane.
But you know what, man? Shout out to Durin and shout out to Disa and shout out to Elrond from like day one being like Team No Ring. Just like from day one, dude.
Yeah,
like,
the most consistent haters. Like,
don't wear them shits.
And for Elrond's credit, he never changes that tune
for
the rest of forever. Like,
the rest of forever.
Even the rest of forever.
Yeah, you should just like destroy it. That's his song.
I think the monster Disa felt is the Balrog. I don't know how she would feel the Watcher in the water, or why the Watcher in the water would be there yet.
Yeah, Watcher's not there.
I think it has to arrive later on, but like, definitely the Balrog in my opinion. Durin's Bane all the way.
Because they also just briefly teased the moonlit Melon door also. So they haven't installed their firewall, quote unquote. So they don't.
That was more than a tease. They like straight up. They showed us the forging of the doors of Durin, and that is so cool, dude. That I didn't expect that. And looking back, I should have, because obviously that's how it got made. As soon as we saw Moria's entrance, we should have known that it was going to turn out being that eventually.
Yeah, just pouring the liquid starlight onto the stone into the little spirally pattern.
I love knowing it was the.
All right, let's take this rock outside. Let's take this rock outside and see if it works. And then it's just all sparkly, and you're like, damn.
It's ironic thinking about the huge rift culturally that opens up between the elves and the dwarves, and how much they don't like each other. And yet in their dwarven halls, the front door is made by elvish craftsmanship. Like, but you're see, it shows how silly the whole thing is. They should have just gotten along the whole time, honestly.
I mean, similar thing with Americans making fun of France, and yet we have the Statue of Liberty in the middle of fucking New York. And half Americans don't even know that it came from France in the first place.
Of course it came from France. It's green. The world is color-coded, don't you know?
King
Oh,
Durr
man.
is going, my precious. Bro.
Yeah,
okay.
he is. He is.
Okay.
He's totally going full Gollum with that blue
Old
ring,
man
and
King, dude.
we need to get it off of him.
Just putting on that ring and then randomly just scanning the walls and then tapping it. And you're like, all right, dig here. Like, when I tell you to dig, you dig. But you know what? At the same time, shout out to him for getting the stick out of his ass and at least summoning his son. He didn't directly apologize.
He is killing it, dude. Durin the Third, the king, absolutely killing it. And he might be the most dwarfy looking dwarf we've ever seen in a thing. Like, his beard is enveloping his entire body at this point. It's so huge. He's got a big old dwarf nose, the jagged dwarven crown. Like, he's so good.
He's like Senshi.
He is. But like, he leapt off the page of a Tolkien description of a dwarf. Like, he's like to a T. He's so good. Absolutely perfect performance. And speaking of that, the orcs, right? We got to talk about the orcs. The orcs were great last season, but they've absolutely dialed it up to like 15 this time around. And not just the prosthetics, like the makeup, how they look, but how they walk, how they move, how they talk. Like, it's fantastic. And we're one episode away from the Siege of Eregion. So like, we know we're about to get some massive army shots, and like, oh, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. I'm worried about Gloog. They showed me that he has a wife and baby, so now, of course, we need him to survive. Like, I'm very concerned about Gloog, and I never thought I'd be concerned about an orc in that way. Well, I shouldn't be too surprised. I always end up rooting for Mordor. Like, yes, the elves are cool, men or whatever, but like, Mordor, that's my team. Like, whenever they start marching out, I join the chorus. I'm like, Num Pot. That's me too.
Yeah, dude. I don't know.
The dog's got my vote. The dog's got my vote.
Same. But also, there's still something very Lovecraftian and something fun that's going to come with like watching the fall of Celebrimborn, and like, it's going to be almost like a reverse Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation, because it's like, we got to see Celebrimborn at like his peak, right? And now we just get to see him just fucking get more and more
absolute downfall.
Like, drunk, if anything. Like, he's just going to become more and more disheveled and become like,
brainwashed.
I don't know if he'll go full Wraith like in Shadows of Mordor, the video game, but like, if they end up kind of going that route of just making him so angry and just like such a sad ghost, like, I'd be down. I'd be down to just like see him just like fall into this pit of misery, and just where like
he is. Well, the actor's killing it, first of all, but like, Celebrimbor is really doing a good job of like setting up the most tragic fall from grace. Because there's plenty of things about him that you could maybe not like him for from the start, but like, the actor's so damn likable that it doesn't matter how pompous he is. It doesn't matter how pretentious he is or how full of his own work he is. Like, you root for him. You really want him to succeed because he's such a simple person who just wants to create things of beauty. That is such a simple and pure motivation to have in this world.
Yes.
This is someone who doesn't wish an ill will on anybody. He just wants to create beauty. And to see someone that with such pure intentions get corrupted and then fall from grace and have to suffer so much, like, and with this actor, this guy doing it, it's going to be heartbreaking because his performances are so good too. He's such a likable guy that, like, I think it's very important for us, the audience, to be rooting for Celebrimbor in the moment that he succumbs, because that is the evil that Sauron does. You know,
it's kind of like the story of Faust, and
it's extremely absolutely Faustian, yes, and it's going to have a very similar conclusion, unfortunately. Yeah. Yes, and also I fully approve of calling him Brimby. Brimby all the way.
Nowhere near as much of a douche as his grandpa.
Brimby's good. I've also heard Kelly B. Kelly B is a good one for him
Kelly
too.
B is a good one. Went to be better than his father. Now he'll be remembered for his fall. Dude, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. I mean, same with King Gil-galad. Like, I'm curious, you know, like, he's gonna want to try like his own self PR. I feel like he's trying to also like make sure that he comes out like visually on top, or just like at least to try to like keep ahead of the situation as it's happening.
We know Gil-galad is gonna make it in the long haul because he's standing right next to Elrond in the last Alliance battle in the Fellowship of the Ring. So he's making it the whole way there too.
Damn.
But his fate, you know, We don't really know what's going to happen to him between now and then. So, or well, we know what's committed to paper, but because they don't have the full rights to the Silmarillion, they could go other directions with all kinds of stuff between now and then. You know, this is definitely one of those shows where it's like the journey, not the destination, because the destination is so established. Everyone knows Lord of the Rings. That's where we're headed. It's about how we get there. You know,
absolutely. Yeah, this is really fun.
I'm really enjoying season 2. Can't wait. I think we have a couple more episodes left, and then we're going to have to do another big deep dive into the show and give our thoughts about the conclusion of season 2. And then we have a long time. I think we got like 2 years to wait until season 3 will be dropping. So we'll have plenty of time to rewatch it, analyze every detail. I can't wait. I can't wait for the next episode. Comes out Thursdays, right?
Yeah, Thursday nights. Kaimo, I love the way that the ring's all whispered. Dude, for real. Okay, so it's very reminiscent of the way that the ring whispered in the Peter Jackson universe. So I thought that was very like kind of paying.
Also, the way the elf described what she saw around her was just like what Frodo saw. Talking about how there was like gray shadows pulling at everything. And then she saw a giant, and for a second I thought she was about to describe the eye of Sauron, and I was about to be like, that doesn't make any sense. But then no, she was just talking about seeing Sauron in the room with her.
As just this
Anatar
giant,
was able to fool her.
This giant being of flame and burning malice, dude, with death spewing out of its mouth. Like, that's so heavy metal. That's so fucking
it's so
cool.
Good. It's so good.
God damn. And like that's like what he is. Like that's just like a part of Morgoth, or like, you know, a seedling of Morgoth. Because Sauron, he isn't like the son of Morgoth. Like Morgoth just like kind of created him out of the dirt. I forget how like they are all kind of collectively created, or if Sauron's on the same. No, he's above the Ishtar when it comes to the hierarchy of beings. Yeah,
I think he is parallel with them on a whole separate tree. Is my understanding of how it works.
Because I thought Balrogs were on the same level as the Ishtar, and then Sauron was like level above.
I don't know. I don't know well enough to tell you one way or the other. I know that there is a hierarchy. I have not memorized it, so that's not my area of expertise. But they do all have kind of like ranks in that way, and I think that there are equivalences between different ranks as well. Like some things are equal to each other. Yeah.
Fucking heavenly beings, bro. But yeah, no, it's so fucking cool. It's great seeing all the pieces slowly coming more and more together. But it was wild getting to see the 3 elves put the ring on for the first time, and then like it was a little emotional seeing the tree get resurrected, and like that also the fact that
that was cool.
Middle Earth again. But as soon as that tree resurrected itself, you're like, oh man, but like what does this fucking mean though? And then even Elrond is like, you're all part of the conspiracy now. Doesn't matter. By proxy.
Now you've been brought in. You've been brought in, and now you know.
Yeah.
Very similar to Samwise Gamgee being like, oh damn, okay. They're giving me a backpack and a walking stick. This is bad. It's like when you accidentally overhear the CIA, and now suddenly you're being put on the plane with everyone else.
Oh shit, yeah.
They hand you a gun, they're like, all right, you're going on the mission too now because you heard too much. Oh man. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. We're just about out of time. This has been the Dork Forces podcast. Today we remember James Earl Jones. We talked about the Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy special and a couple of Star Wars gaming anniversaries that fell on today. We talked about the Rings of Power season 2 and how much fun we're having with this show. Like, honestly, this is one of the best fantasy stories that I've been immersed in a while, and I can't wait till the whole season's out so I can like binge the whole thing. Yes. I feel like the plot is just moving so fast this season that like it's hard to keep up. So much information and so many intense events.
It makes me really want to play the 2 towers together when I come back down for Emerald City Comic Con.
Hell yes!
And like
War of the Ring, the Conquest one. I've got that one too.
Yeah, and then something else that we were talking about before is like after watching this, you now have to go back and play Shadows of Mordor, but try to play it from the next.
I never beat that game. And I'm very definitely going to stream it until I finish it. The Nemesis system just kicked my butt, man. Like I died to the same orc too many times, and he got promoted so much that now he's like unbeatable.
Now, yeah, but
I'm being cyberbullied by one.
We have to bribe and like try to convince the smaller orcs to join you, and then we.
Yeah, no, I do. I gotta go back and do it Adar style. That's what I'm gonna do. But thank you so
friends.
much for watching, everybody. This has been the Dork Forces podcast. We hope you had a good time hanging out with us tonight, discussing all things Star Wars related. We are going to play you out with a classic. We're just going to go with one of our classic George Lucas clips because why not? But thank you so much for stopping by. We'll catch you next week at the exact same time in the exact same place. And until then, may the Force be with you.
I am always thinking of new dreams.
George Lucas.
I dream of visions which have
彼は
yet to be seen,
いつも新しい夢を考えてきた。
which have not yet been
見た
heard.
ことのないものを、
From dreams,
聞いたことのない音を
new reality.
現実の形にしてきた。
In this universe, new dreams and new friends.
この宇宙は新しい夢と仲間でいっぱいだ。
Panasonic, always new dreams, wonderful friends.
パナソニック、いつも新しい夢、素晴らしい仲間。